Is Jackie an indecisive pick-me? Is Catherine Jackie's biological mom? Is Paige the true protagonist of the season? Is Cole the equivalent of a modern-day Prince Charming? Let's answer these questions and more in a serious and elite ranking system. Hey guys, come on into this party. My name is Zay, and on this channel we'll cover topics from music, film, and all things pop culture. If this sounds like a party that you would like to attend, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below so that my videos can get a little bit more love in the algorithm. Today we're going to be ranking all the characters in Netflix's newest, somewhere I term pretty dupe, My Life with the Walter Boys. Let's get into it. My Life with the Walter Boys is an American teen drama television series that premiered on Netflix in December of 2023. The classic coming-of-age drama is an adaptation of Ali Novak's 2014 novel of the same name, which was first published on Wattpad. The series follows recently orphaned Jackie Howard, a teenage girl whose family passes away in a tragic accident. Speaking of that, did anyone else get whiplash from the opening of this series? Like, I was over here getting my blanket and my food ready to enjoy a new series and binge on a Saturday evening, and this girl's whole family died in the first 2.5 seconds. That right there was the first strike, because they could have given us at least 20 minutes to ease on into it. Like, don't rush into it. Anyways, with the recent events, Jackie is forced to move from Manhattan to rural Colorado after she is taken in by her godparents, the Walters. The Walters is not like a normal family. They're a cool family.
Not like a regular mom, I'm a cool mom.
The family consists of 7 boys and 1 girl. Catherine and George were able to produce the following offspring. The oldest is Will, who is currently engaged to Haley, followed by twins Cole and Danny. After them we have Alex, the other main protagonist in the show. Nathan, who satisfies the gay trope. Then we have the 3 youngest Walter kids in Jordan, Parker, and Benny, who really do not get much to do in the show. To fill out the home, we have Isaac and Lee, who are cousins of George, who stay with the Walters as well. Spoiler alerts ahead. We will be discussing spoilers, so if you do not like spoilers, I recommend you pause this video, go watch the show, then come on back because I need the views and baby got bills to pay. Now that we got the Walter family established, additional characters that we will need to talk about of course includes Jackie, who is meant to be the main character. To fill up the rest of the cast, we have Aaron, Olivia, Dylan, Grace, Skylar, Kylie, Uncle Richard, Haley, Tara, Paige, and Professor Chaudhry. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. These are all the characters in our ranking today. So what are the tiers in today's systems? At the bottom we have Gutter Bitch. These are the characters who are just vile and trifling and committed some unforgivable and downright disgraceful actions that put them in the pits of hell. Next we have the non-motherfucking factor tier. This tier is for the characters who really did not have much to do or much addition in terms of influence the plot line of the show. Like, these characters could be cut from the show and really not make a huge difference in the overall story progression. The tier in the middle is the invitation delivered tier. And this tier is for the characters who for the most part were inoffensive or were important to the plot in some way, shape, or form. These characters experience some sort of growth or development, whether it be positive or negative in terms of the progression of their character arc throughout the series. And honestly, for the most part, I genuinely like them as a character in the show. The tier above that is a slightly more elite tier, and that is titled The Party Doesn't Start Till I Walk In.
Till I walk in.
And these are the characters I thoroughly enjoyed throughout the entire series. Some of them may have deserved better treatment, but they were a positive light in either keeping me entertained or just honestly keeping me more intrigued with the show. And lastly, we have the VIP list, or the iconique, because these characters are truly iconic and integral with their portrayal throughout the entire series. Honestly, I would not have watched the show without them in it. And now that we have gotten that out the way, let's get into this ranking. So the first character we're going to talk about, of course, is the main character, Jackie. Overall, Jackie is a very well-rounded person. She's a very studious, driven, and dedicated student, which is shown throughout the entire series from the very beginning of her hosting some sort of like fundraising party that she organized. One of the main gripes with her character arc is that we're kind of rushed into the family's unaliving scene to the point where we don't really have a connection. I think that's a big disconnect between the audience and Jackie throughout the series, is that we didn't gravitate or grow an emotional connection to her family. And so it's like whenever they talk about it, which is already very infrequent throughout the series, it's like I don't have a feel feeling when it comes to her family being unalived, when I should have some sort of a connection. That's why I wish they would have waited like 20 to 30 minutes of the first episode, at least kind of showing us her relationship with her family, because throughout the series, when there is reference, it's like, okay, we don't even know her family to even have an emotion to it. I will say Jackie, for the most part, is a very likable character, which is not really common for most main characters, but I think that kind of stems from the fact that even though Jackie is plastered front and center on the posters and is supposed to be the main character, she does not really exude main character energy. She doesn't exude that main character energy consistently throughout the series, and I think that the biggest gripe is that sometimes she is used as a plot device for someone else that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So that's where I feel like she's kind of missing that main character energy, but I also think that the fact that she is missing it a little bit is what makes her still so likable in the zeitgeist of the overall audience. I will say one of the things that we do see is that Jackie can be a little bit indecisive and have a little bit of the pick-me behavior, but it's not in a sense that it's as exuberant in terms of its pick-me behavior that we see, especially in the more negative sense, but it's more so on par with the adolescent growing up and discovering herself in terms of relationships. With all that being said, I would put Jackie in the party don't start till I walk in tier. She still has a little bit more character growth, and I wish that they could have delved, I think if they would have delved more into the whole background with her family a little bit more, maybe that would have pushed her a little bit higher. And if she didn't make that a rational decision at the very end to just leave, I think I would have put her in iconic, but because of those two few things, I would bump her down a peg. Next, we're gonna move on to Alex. He was always fighting for validation and attention, but not necessarily from his family, but from his peers at his high school, because I think he really did struggle growing up in the shadow of Cole. So that's one of the things that I felt like he really struggled with a lot throughout the series. And the first half, it wasn't as prevalent about how much trauma and how much emotional turmoil that growing up as Cole's younger brother, especially being Cole, who has been like the superstar of the school, the superstar of the town, and you're just basically known through your identity as being his brother rather than being your own unique identity. It's a very strange character arc. Instead of growing, he kind of regressed a little bit, and we saw that especially in episodes like 4 and 5 and 6. And in the very beginning, he kind of fell into that traditional good guy trope where they portray themselves to be the good guy, but in actuality, they do have a lot of inner saboteurs that really make it difficult and hard for him to really be the good guy. And that's why it's important to always recognize in these tropes that the good guy doesn't always mean the best guy. I'm gonna talk more when I talk about Kylie, but what he said to Kylie and like at the wedding was just really out of pocket. And I was like, dude, you're dumb. Why would you do that? Really do see Alex having a really big character redemption arc in season 2. So I don't hate his character. It's just I have a love-hate with his character. So I would put him in the invitation delivered. He can come to the party, but he better be on his best behavior. Up next, we have Benny. The only real characterization that we have for Benny is that he's the younger brother that shows up for a quick soundbite every few episodes. And typically with these younger sibling baby tropes is that they either have to be super witty or like a troubled youth. And it's pretty common that they provide some small subplots but not really drive the overall story narrative. For example, let's compare the character arc of Benny to that of Austin from Ginny and Georgia. Austin is not the primary character or the primary focus of Ginny and Georgia. However, audiences can be honest and say that they remember a lot of different pivotal points that Austin's been a part of in the show that left watchers gooped and gagged. But name one thing that Benny did the whole season. I'll wait.
What do you do successfully? Quickly.
So for that, even though he's a child, and I hate to do this to a child, he is going in the non-motherfucking factor tier. Next, we have Danny. Danny had a very endearing storyline in the show, and I think honestly, if anyone should be mad, it should be Danny. He is completely sidelined from the first half of the season, and I genuinely would forget that he was there. Storyline did pick up in the second half of the season with the issues related to Isaac in the play, and also his flirtation with Aaron. I really do want him and Aaron to get together. However, I really want this family to stop dating each other's exes. I think they bring a whole new meaning to keeping it in the family. But with Danny, he kept fighting for his dreams, and even though he felt like he could never be a leading man when you have people that look like Cole in the world, he was able to find his true voice and find his passions, and he was accepted to a really high prestigious college. So I'm really excited to see where Danny goes, but I'm gonna be honest, with him being written off to go to college, I don't really see much for his character to do if he is in college, unless there is like some sort of arc where he kind of struggles financially or drops out. But I really don't see much for him to do in season 2. But he was still a good, solid character. So for that, he's gonna get an invitation delivered. Cole. Cole is really the main character of the series. The series tries to portray Jackie as the main character, but we come to find out that Cole is the main character. He is almost in every single scene, in every single episode, and we learned so much about Cole. Like throughout the whole series, we learned more about his depression, his injuries, his future concerns than that of Jackie, whose family just died. Cole had multiple character flaws, but he also had good spots, such as his consistency and being there for Jackie whenever she needed it, especially in the later half of the season. The writers did their best to really flesh flesh out Cole's character, which they tried to flesh out with more multi-dimensional layers that may not have always worked, but he definitely grew more tolerable as the season went on. But he's going in the gutter, bitch. I want to compare Cole's character arc to Marcus from Ginny and Georgia. I binged a lot of Ginny and Georgia at the same time as I watched this series, so that's why a lot of my references will be coming there, because there's a lot of parallels I can see. Marcus and Cole both fall into that cool guy with some inner demon stereotype, and they both deal with loss of something special. Marcus with the loss of his friend, and then Cole with the loss of his future career. However, Marcus's inner turmoil is mostly centered within himself, whereas Cole's bad judgment caused major and direct harm to the people around him instead of just him. And so for that, he's a gutter bitch. Now Jordan. He carries a camera, no motherfucking factor. Next we have Nathan. And for my fellow Gen Zers, you might recognize this actor from Girl Meets World on Disney Channel. Nathan plays the shy and awkward brother of the Walter boys who happens to be gay. And he eventually forms a strong bond with Jackie through their love of running and track. He also forms a romantic relationship with Skylar that does go through some rocky moments. I love the idea of Nathan, and his actor is amazing, but the acting in regards to either the writing or the directing of this character just felt really off. Like, the acting genuinely was bad. For example, the scene with the seizure really just threw me completely off. And this is coming from someone who had a seizure recently a couple months ago. So I know what it's like. And it just seemed so fake. Like, it was a pause and he threw himself off the table. It just seemed off. But he's one of the more developed characters of the series because we know so much more about Nathan as opposed to some of the other characters. His awkwardness, his love of music and running, and overall just feeling appreciated by the people around him. Anyways, Nathan is a great addition to the overall series because he provides probably the most significant subplot into the series outside the love triangle of the main characters. And for that, he's going into the party don't start till I walk in tier. Parker. She is just a little sister until Jackie comes. She doesn't really have much to do. She didn't have much of a storyline, but can become more in depth with her and Jackie's relationship as sisters. And this is why I say it's important that we could have seen Jackie's relationship with her sister, because now we can see a growth arc for Jackie and understanding her relationship with her own personal sister, as now she's going to be a big sister in a sense to Parker. So this could give her some more of a profound affinity for her sister, because throughout the show it's hinted that she was kind of jealous of her sister, but that is just potential for season 2 for Parker. So for that, Parker has to go into the non-motherfucking factor tier, because just for season 1 she just didn't really have much to do. Next we have Will. Will is the best representation for the modern day millennial Gen Z people. So those people who are born like in the 1992 to 1997, those people who are kind of like on the cusp of either being a younger millennial or an older Gen Z. In the series you can see that Will uses a hearing aid and he references being hard of hearing, but he doesn't make that his entire storyline. And I believe that representation without overanalyzation is nice in today's climate, where you can highlight people's different identities and also struggles without making it their overall identity. But what is a part of his character is that Will is a workaholic and he wants to prove himself in a not so stellar job market. The go-getter attitude is great, however it does lead to the deterioration of his romantic relationship with Haley. Although Will does have some very evident character flaws, they are really flaws that are meant to help progress him and his family's lives. And so for that, we're gonna put him in Invitation Delivered. Next we have George. As the father of the household, George's main storyline was really his struggles with his manhood in terms of being able to provide for his family. And he has some really big decisions to make that really impacts not only his life, but really like 10 or 15 people's lives. He tries best to be a strong parental figure, and this is highly indicative of the representation of the working class. He could have been more present throughout the series, but he was mostly inoffensive, so for that, he's getting an invitation delivered to the party. But he probably won't come because, babe, he gotta work. He needs to go work them crops. And now to the icon herself, Catherine. Catherine is my bitch. Catherine is my girl, but she carried this show and that family. She's the pillar of the community that a lot of people go to for their veterinarian needs. She got them kids under control and was compassionate. Like, some of my favorite moments from her was in the earlier stages of Jackie's transition when she had that honest conversation about her and her mother and how they became friends, and then the story of her adoption, and having those connection points with Jackie, but also giving us more insight to the overall family dynamics, but also even Jackie's family dynamics, because the writers didn't do that before, was really helpful. And then lastly, one of my favorite scenes from her was when the boys got into the brawl and they had to come back to the house, and then when they were talking to Catherine and George and they tried to get up and she said,
I'm sorry, did we say you were excused?
"Did I tell you you can leave? Sit your ass back down." Now, she didn't say those words exactly, but that's how I interpreted it. And for all of that, she is purely iconic and she was my favorite character of the entire series. Next, we have Isaac. Isaac, he didn't really have much to do until he auditioned and got the part for the play. Even with the play debates, it still didn't feel completely rounding out for his personal character, but it more so felt like a plot device for propping up Aaron and Danny as a potential ship for the show. Even though he had some moments more than maybe like Parker and Benny, he really was just another non-motherfucking factor, because honestly, if you took Isaac out of the show, it really wouldn't have changed much. Like, I still think Danny and Aaron would have kind of started flirting with each other because they already had started having those moments, and he really didn't have anything else to really do. Next, we have Lee. Lee is the character who I think suffered the most from middle child syndrome. He was often sidelined due to everyone else's crises. So we had Danny struggling with the idea of going to college in the play. We had Cole with his knee injury. Alex, honestly, getting over the heartbreak of Paige and falling in love with Jackie. Nathan with the seizures and his love life with Skylar. And then Parker and Benny just being the babies who are always being taken care of. And Lee just really did not have his moment to really shine. And I think that he struggled with that a lot. And we saw that with the arrival of Jackie. And Lee was probably the person who was the most upset with Jackie's arrival. And his animosity towards Jackie was really confusing, especially from an audience lens, because we were like, why does he particularly hate her so much? But over time, it was explained. He just felt that Jackie was another person who was getting the attention that he was really craving and dying for. We see him really come to life and become happy when his dad finally calls, who we do find out is deployed, and he calls him and Isaac after Thanksgiving, and seeing how happy that made Lee. My main question throughout the whole series, which I may have missed in the series, but let me know in the comments if I did, where the hell is their mother? I don't think it was ever really explained where the mother was. Like, we knew the dad was deployed, but is the mother deceased? Did she run away? Like, where is she? Like, what is she doing? I just feel like in this show, Lee and Skylar are the two characters who are the most like me. And because of that, and solely for that, Lee has to go into the party don't start till I walk in category. And you can argue with your mammy about it, because he is top tier, but not at the toppest of tiers. He is in that party don't start till I walk in, and I'm okay, and I will stand 10 toes down behind that. All right, next we have Uncle Richard. Uncle Richard, you can tell he really cares for Jackie and her well-being, and he wants to earn his best life for her. But due to his lifestyle, he really just couldn't manage being a father figure to Jackie at the moment. But throughout the series, you can really tell that he's trying to get into a more stable and traditional lifestyle, which probably includes a family. Even though the show tries to portray him as the antagonist at times with the shady music in the background, but it's honestly that he wants to take care of his niece. And so it's like, I can't say that he's an antagonist when he just wants to take care of his family. So for that, Uncle Richard is going in the invitation delivered. Like, he was so inoffensive. Like, he actually almost could have bumped up, but he just didn't have enough scenes to really push him up into a higher tier. But he's still a really good character. Erin, she definitely fit that mean girl with a little bit of trauma trope that is becoming more prevalent, especially in the last like 20 years of modern film. She started off the season really hating Jackie because she could instantly tell the connection that Cole had to Jackie, and she was always kind of fighting for that spot in Cole's life. And on top of fighting for the validation from Cole, she was also fighting for the validation from her mother in terms of sports and just being the top tier student. And we begin to see that she's just really overwhelmed by the pressures of being perfect. Erin was on that path to just really burning herself out. She honestly has probably one of the best character arcs from the show, because she really does start to take a 180 and becoming more confident in herself, but also more confident in what she wants to do rather than what everybody else wants her to be. But honestly, she needs to leave them Walter boys alone, because you can't keep bouncing around from Cole to Danny. Like, leave them alone. I think she really just needs to be by herself. But if she's gonna love anybody, I'm okay with her dating Danny, but she needs to leave them Walter boys alone. So for that, Erin has to go, and the party don't start till I walk in. If she did not have that character arc, she would have been in the gutter with the rest of them bitches. Next, we have Grace. Grace is honestly one of the highlights of the series for me, because with everyone else being constantly involved in some sort of drama, she was really just there for a good time. Like, she was always just genuinely a happy and go-getting person who just kind of minded her business, but also was there for everyone else. And I wish we could have dived deeper into Grace's character, but I think this is a good example of saving some things for season 2. I like to compare this to Tara's girlfriend on Heartstopper. I forgot her name, her character's name, and I cannot think of it at the moment. But in the season 1, she just showed us the happy go-getting lucky friend, and then we find out that she has a lot of personal trauma with her identity with her family, and her family doesn't accept her being lesbian. And so I think that that could be something that we can explore with Grace. Like, we don't know anything about her from season 1, but we can explore what her family and what her personal life is is like in season 2. Plus, I see the potential of her and Isaac forming some sort of romantic relationship. There's multiple times throughout the season where they're in the room together or in the space together, and they kind of have this weird chemistry. Isaac's just really lovey-dovey towards her, and Grace is also just like kind of intrigued by him, but not in like a, you're like a little brother way, but more so in like this weird romantic connection way. So I can really see them as a potential couple. And honestly, I think Isaac and Grace can really balance each other out, because Isaac has that too cool for school personality, and Grace is a person who cares about everything all the time. And so kind of having those two personalities can really help them bring out the pros and cons of each other. And so for that, I will have to put Grace in the party doesn't start till I walk in tier. Olivia. Gutter bitch. Olivia was a manipulative follower and even went to the extra steps to always ask people, hey, can you keep my secret? And she would constantly bother people to keep her trifling secret. Like, how could you do that to your best friend? If that is your best friend and you know like your best friends also complain to you about the struggles in their relationship, and you would go fuck her man?
This message lasts 2 minutes.
This is for
Olivia.
you big, fat, white, nasty, smelling, fat bitch.
Trifling, like you can't go anywhere but the gutter, like the pits of hell. But she does remind me a lot of the people I went to high school with. Next, we have Haley. Haley is the fiance of Will, and the two eventually would get married at the finale of the season. Haley doesn't get a whole lot of development throughout the series other than being Tara's supportive best friend and the financial struggles that she's experiencing with Will. However, she seems like the most realistic character in her decision-making process. Like, she seems like the most realistic in the entire show, and she's really just honestly pursuing a more simplistic lifestyle. I think Haley will have a lot to do because they kind of left us on a cliffhanger with the introduction of this Morgan character who called Haley at the night of the wedding. We didn't get any context to who Morgan was, and Morgan was never talked about previously in the season. For me, I'm guessing that Morgan's either a past love interest of Haley's, or it's some sort of best friend or person who's trying to get her to leave Will. So maybe moving her to like a cool educational opportunity, or just trying to get her away from Will. So I think that's why she was so hesitant to communicate that with him. And because she just seemed like the most genuine and most realistic character of all, I have to put her in the party doesn't start till she walks in tier. Skylar, our sweet baby Skylar. Skylar plays the overachieving token black POC friend in the series, but honestly, how many people of color or POCs really live in rural Colorado?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So it's not surprising. He wants to go to college and pursue a major in political science, which was my major in college. Skylar honestly has multiple plot lines that keeps him in the forefront of the series. Skylar is half Native American and half African American. And one of my favorite stories that were told throughout the series was the Day of Mourning, to highlight the struggles and insensitivity that Thanksgiving as a holiday has to the indigenous community.
It's happened before. Kids have turned up just to seem woke or snap some shots for their Insta.
But I'm honored that your dad and your community share this with us today. See you around.
And honestly, we don't see that often in modern media, especially for these teen dramas and these college-based TV shows. We don't really see a lot of representation for indigenous-based people. So that was really good that they were able to highlight that as a key component of Skylar's story arc, especially in the earlier half of the season. Skylar does suffer from some inner turmoil that I was not too fond of. Like, he kind of mistreated Nathan because Nathan wrote him a song, which I understood both sides. Nathan wrote him a song because Nathan already been fond over Skylar long before they even got together. And then from Skylar's standpoint, he's like, we just got together, why are you writing me a song? But then that's how Nathan expresses his love for people, was through music. And so in no circumstance is it okay for you just to ghost someone without giving them that proper closure. They were able to eventually rekindle their relationship after he thought about it, and then also seeing that his care for Nathan's health and also his well-being, because after the seizure, I think Skylar really realized that Nathan was a person who's genuinely wanting him for him. Even though he barely scraped by into this category, I have to put Skylar in the iconic VIP list here. Like, he has to go up there. Next, Kylie. Kylie was given a very interesting narrative arc throughout the season. And one of the things that we noticed about her as an audience member was that she was a little bit moody and pessimistic in a lot of situations, but almost in a more realistic way. Like, these are real life emotions that somebody her age would tend to have. And over the course of the series, we slowly start to see why she has this like overall attitude. And the main thing that she's dealing with is the loss of a friend. And not only the loss of a friend in Alex, who they have been friends for over a decade at that point. Also with the added pressure that she does end up developing a crush or some sort of romantic attraction to Alex, and now his entire mindset is solely focused around Jackie. She really does care about the people that is around her and the people in her life, almost to the fault of her own, because you could tell she puts a lot of her care and emotions into it, and sometimes when people fall down the wrong path, she kind of feels that brunt of it in a sense. One of my favorite examples of her compassionate side was when she was taking care of Alex at the wedding, and she was the one who took care of him, not Jackie. You start to see those wheels are turning, that they're trying to tease Kylie and Alex becoming a thing. Alex does Alex shit, and then he says this foul comment to Kylie while they're in the room after she's taking care of him.
Kyles, you're so cool. You're practically a dude.
And turn your big ass around and get the fuck back to your fucking seat. The fuck is wrong with your ashy ass?
Totally out of pocket. And Kylie clearly has feelings for Alex, and it's killing her to see him obsess over Jackie, who I think she can already tell that Jackie's not gonna be with Alex long term, at least with the way the series is going. And for her loyalty and commitment to others, Kylie is going in the party don't start till I walk in tier. Dylan. Dylan plays football. He's really not that important to the overall series, at least yet. I feel like he can get another character arc in season 2, but honestly, he doesn't have to be in the series, so he's a non-motherfucking factor. Paige. Paige does not have that many scenes in the overall series. However, she is one of the most influential, integral parts of the overall plot line. This girl was able to get 2 brothers, not only one brother who's very nerdy, but well known to the popular kid in school, to fight over her over just a summer fling, not even a deep connection relationship, but just a quick summer fling. And not only was she able to use her sex appeal and her feminine ways to become the it girl, it's to the point where now everybody's obsessed over her, and it goes to her head, and she gets a little bit attention greedy, attention whore seeking. She is just iconic for that. She was able to drive this entire series by being the background character to the point where she almost became the main character of the overall show. She is talked about so much in every single episode, and she's not even in all of them almost. For that, she is iconic. Psych.
Psych, this shit nasty. What in the Peter Piper picked a peck of motherfucking pickled peppers is this shit? I'm calling the motherfucking FBI.
Straight to the gutter. Paige is going strictly into the gutter solely for the comments she made about Jackie in the bathroom.
I really need somebody new to flirt with.
I thought Jackie girl's cornering the market on all available boys.
Yeah, well, plus that whole helpless orphan thing. She won the lottery when her parents died.
And they were rich too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, so she literally won the lottery.
This is one of my biggest problems with some of these newer shows that have a lot more younger characters in them. They're supposed to represent my generation of Gen Z. But I think the issue is that as Gen Z, we do have a dark sense of humor, and I have a dark sense of humor. I can laugh about anything. However, it has to be funny. If it's not funny, it's not a joke. And so that's what dark sense of humor is. It has to be humor that's dark. So when they just say very passive aggressive or even just rude comments where she was like, oh yeah, she hit the jackpot because her family died. It's we wouldn't really say that in that instance, or I don't feel like we would. It paints our generation almost in this super negative light when it doesn't really have to be. But Paige is the real true villain of the series. We were portrayed at first as it being Aaron and somewhat Cole, but it's really Paige. Paige is the antagonist. She is the drama.
Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am. Am I the villain? I don't think I'm the villain.
Next, Tara. Tara is the school's guidance counselor, and she's one of Haley's best friends. One of my main gripes with Tara is that she is the counselor, but she doesn't contribute much. It's just she helps with some of the subplots to a degree, but not really in it. I think the biggest issue with Tara's character is that she has so much screen time, but her storylines are so distant from the rest of the Walter family to the point where it just feels like filler that doesn't really need to be there, because it's she's going to her dating life, which is great that she's getting that development, but it's so separate, and even to the point where her plotline with Haley is still so separate from the rest of the main series. It just feels like some random thing that's inserted. And overall, it makes the storyline seem a little disjointed by having Tara there just trying to figure out her love life. And then you have the Walters who have so many characters involved in that family who are to a degree not getting as much development, whereas Tara's getting a lot of development, but it's kind of meaningless to the grand scope of the series. She's also starting a relationship with Professor Chaudhry, which I think is interesting to see more adult relationships, especially for people in I would say middle age, because I'm assuming that Tara is probably in her late 20s, early 30s. And so it is kind of cool to see those relationships where it's still a young person, but not like a high school or college age person, but it's someone who is a little bit more mature in finding those nuances. Because now as a person who's entering adulthood, this is real life struggles of finding someone who cares for you and also realizing where you stand in the world. I think for season 2, the biggest thing they're gonna do with her character is the love triangle with her, but I'm nervous because there's already so many different love triangles and squares in this show. Like, I don't think another one should be added. She's right now dating Professor Chaudhry, but then she kind of starts having this like kind of romantic attraction towards Uncle Richard. And so I would love to see that exploration of that, just because I do think Uncle Richard could just serve more of a vital role, especially for Jackie's background. Lastly, Professor Chaudhry. His character doesn't really progress the whole overall plot line a lot, in my opinion. Like, I know love is blind, but don't be stupid. Like, you just started dating. Like, I promise you could find someone else. Just make a new Hinge account and you can definitely find someone else in London. Because a huge pay increase, I'm like, I just met this girl like, what, 4 or 5 months ago? And we just now started going on a couple of dates. Like, I wouldn't risk all of that for somebody I just met. He's also gonna go in non-motherfucking factor, even though I still do like him like as a person, but as an overall character, he just doesn't do much for the show. And that's our ranking. So looking at this ranking right now, it looks like there's a pretty even distribution of where all the characters lie. I will give the show credit. There's so many characters just in like the family itself, but also all the added surrounding characters. And I'm grateful that the show was still able to give every character for the most part some sort of trope or personality. Now, I wish they could have fleshed them out a little bit more, but also there's like 20 characters and I don't expect them to flesh all of them out because there's a lot of characters in the Party Don't Start Till I Walk In tier to the Invitation Delivered. And I think they set up in the last 2 episodes. A lot of these characters can have some very interesting and complex narrative arcs if given the chance of a season 2. And I just saw on Instagram that they were renewed for a season 2.
I know you've got a busy day, so I won't keep you very long, but I just wanted to let you know that we have been given the green light for a season 2.
No way. Oh my god, that's great. Yeah. So people like the show?
I think people like the show, yeah. I think people like the show.
Oh my god, that's great. Oh.
Thank you all so much for all your amazing
Oh my
work.
god.
I appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you, Melanie. We can't wait to do it again. Bye. Bye.
Which I'm really excited about. I was a little nervous because after the first few days, it wasn't making a lot of noise, but I contribute that to the holiday season. Now it's been trending nonstop. I've been seeing a lot of other reaction videos, seeing things on Twitter, and it's really cool to see a show like this kind of thrive, especially with such a young cast, because it does show that you can have a show that is to a degree like a little bit more family friendly, that doesn't push too many boundaries, but still tell almost realistic-ish themes. So I'm really excited to see where season 2 goes. It's 2024 now, so I doubt that it's going to have another season before the end of 2025. I love being able to watch a show in real time and also being able to grow with the characters, because a lot of the characters are kind of like a little bit younger than me, but they're like the age of my younger brother. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below, or follow me on any of my socials, all listed here. My handle on most of my socials is Zay_officially, XAE_officially, or you can watch one of my past videos, maybe linked here. So I would love to be able to bring you on as we get this channel started, and my goal is to start posting once or twice weekly. Without further ado, thank you for coming to this party, and it's time for y'all asses to go home. See y'all later.